Bring in Keith David. Hey everyone, welcome to Prince the Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Tales from the Hood 2. That's right, back in October we reacted to the first of these anthology films. They're kind of a horror comedy anthology that centers around messages and themes of the black community. And though these films came out in years past, they are still, incredibly poignant to this day. They are exceptionally important and really discuss topics that need to be discussed. At least the first film did. I assume the second and third are going to follow in that idea. Now, I mentioned in the first film that the only thing I knew about any of these is that one of them featured Keith David playing Satan and yelling out, I think in a car, to someone else, "Welcome to hell, motherfucker." And it wasn't in the first movie. We had a different actor, I assume portraying the same version of Satan, but just different actor. And he was great. He was so cheesy in the best way. But I think it's this one. I think it's number 2 that has Keith David. So I'm excited to see that because I love Keith David. I think he's a phenomenal actor, and I just love seeing anything with him in it. But yeah, I'm very interested to see what the framing device for the anthology shorts are going to be this time, and how that all connects into what the shorts are about and what they discuss in this one compared to the first. Plus, I'm just interested to see the horror aspect of it because I like horror. It's just a genre I enjoy. So, I'm not going to waste any more time, honestly, because there's not really much else that I have to say here. We're just going to get into this, see what this movie has in store, and hope for the best. So, let's get to it. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So how we're going to do this, I think we kind of do this with every anthology film we react to, whether it's one of these Tales from the Hood, or whether it's VHS, or whatever else, is we're going to go through each of the different segments and discuss them kind of, each of them separately. And then just go over my final thoughts at the end. So we are going to save Robo Hell, which is the framing device for the entire film and for its anthology stories, until the end. I'm going to talk, instead of talking about that in segments, for each of the segments we see, I'm just going to talk about the entire thing at the end. So we're going to start with Good Golly. This one was very, cringy and hard to watch. The way that these three, mostly at first the girls were acting in this museum and everything, that is meant to discuss, the fucked up history of how black people have been treated, not just as slaves, but even in media and whatnot, in the form of dolls, in the form of art, etc., etc. The way they're acting around it is just really fucked up and gross. And then when they break in with the one girl's brother and everything, it's just like, ugh. The deaths are pretty wild though. Like the one girl getting chopped in half by the big standy thing. Not really a standy, but you know what I mean. The set thing around the door. Um, and like the brother getting like whipped to death, like insanely, like gruesomely. And then her death at the end was like, what the fuck? um, it got pretty crazy there. Um, this obviously discussed a lot of the history of all of this, like fucked up imagery and whatnot. And I looked it up. The doll in there was the doll from the first movie, from the first Tales from the Hood. I recognized it instantly. It's a pretty recognizable design. But yeah, I recognized that instantly. um, but yeah, it's like this segment, this story was not my favorite. Like I get the meaning behind it, obviously, and the depths of it. And I like that aspect of it, but the way it was presented and everything, specifically with like these three assholes, like while they got their comeuppance, of course, it was still it was just very cringy and hard to watch because of them, just the way they were acting around everything, and ugh. Also, the giant golly doll was like also just like I didn't need to see that. I don't like seeing those kind of depictions because they're racist depictions. I don't like seeing those as it is. They make me super uncomfortable. And considering how they were used to specifically victimize black people, it's just it makes me really it's just hard for me to watch. And I know that's the point. I understand that's the point. That's the intent. Um, but still, just from an entertainment standpoint, it's hard to watch and get into because of that. So then we have the medium, and this one starts off with this group of thugs beating up this other guy who had started and tried to go straight. He was, making a better life for himself. He used to be a pimp, and he was now starting to, turn his life around and do some good things. But these guys come after him for this money he's accrued, and eventually, kind of due to his taunting, end up beating him to death. One of them does, at least. So they end up hearing about, seeing on TV, this TV sidekick guy, a charlatan, a dumbass. Someone who's tricking the naive and, vulnerable in order to get money. And so they go to his house and force him under duress to perform a seance to try and summon the soul of this guy, Cliff, I believe his name was, in order to find out where his money is. And now this guy, again, he's fake. He's a charlatan. He can't actually do this kind of shit. But somehow it ends up working this time. And he ends up channeling a bunch of people that this group has killed. A bunch of just various people from around the area and whatnot. Some of them related to them, like the one's cousin and everything. And some of them just some like random people that they ended up killing. But they eventually get Cliff, and using his ghostly powers, he fully possesses the charlatan, the TV psychic guy, the Gideon Gleeful of this story, basically, and uses ghost powers, basically, to kill all three of the thugs. The one guy gets his head, like, twisted around, like, in a crazy way. It's like, that was wild. That was like, oh, I don't think heads are supposed to do that. Um, I'm trying to remember how the others died. Hold on. Da, 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 da. Twisting the neck, Gore is killed by, yeah, the broken glass. No surprise. I tried to forget about that. That one made me super uncomfortable. You would think I would remember it because it made me uncomfortable. No, I tried to forget about it because it made me uncomfortable. Yeah, the breaking the glass and then like forcing it down his throat and like, ugh. I've accidentally gotten glass in my mouth before. Like, it's not fun, and just a little shard, and I got it out and everything before it caused any real damage. But it's like, ugh. Just, if you want context, I broke something. I don't remember what it was. It was years and years ago. I broke something like while I was making food, and like one shard, I guess, got one tiny little shard got into the food, and I managed to find it because it did cut me when I was eating. I managed to get it out. It didn't cause any huge major damage, thankfully, but yeah. And then, anyway, going back to this though, the third guy, Brian, was electrocuted, which was probably the least like horrifying of the deaths. I mean, still pretty freaking scary. It's like I don't want to be electrocuted, but it's like it was the more normal death compared to the other two, I guess, just comparatively. And he ends up taking over like the TV sidekick's life and job along with, his girlfriend who's just, she's okay with it. She was his girlfriend before he died. He had gone together with her and she's like, "All right, we can be rich now. Cool." She's just all game. And they live a successful life using like his actual ghost powers to, I guess, make it more authentic. So after that, we have date night. And this one I really enjoyed. Like, while like others had obviously, I mean, they all have deep messages and everything. Others weren't as entertaining. In a lot of cases, they were very hard to watch and everything, which again is the point. But this one was more entertaining for me in a weird way. Though at first it wasn't. You have these two dumbass fuck boys who are trying to get with these two hot girls. They go to meet them at this really nice house, and they start off having fun. They're just hanging out, drinking, playing Cards Against Humanity. Eventually, though, while fixing drinks for all of them, one of the guys drugs the girls' drinks and they end up passing out. And so the guys are planning on taking advantage of them, literally raping them, and recording it. And we find out the other guy is fully in on it too. This is something they've, I guess, done before. So, yeah, but when setting up the camera, the one guy realizes, wait, they're not on the camera. Just their bras and panties are. Their underwear is showing up, but their bodies aren't. And it's like, what is going on? Is this some weird little glitch thing? But then they're standing up and they're standing there hissing, and it's like, oh, they're vampires. Of course, I understood instantly when they didn't show up on the camera, because that's a typical vampire thing. Vampires do not only not show up in reflections, they don't show up on camera either, whether it's a photo or video. It's actually like very common with like more modern vampire stories because, the classics don't talk about cameras, but with more modern vampire stories, you actually see that a lot. A lot of cameras, again, whether video or photo, will not show vampires either. And it's a really cool idea. Though there is some like questionable thoughts about it some people have, because I think the reason the entire vampires not showing up in mirrors thing started because a lot of mirrors had like silver backing, and silver is like meant to be like anti-evil or something. It's supposed to be pure and whatnot, so that's the reason it's said to like vampires can't be reflected in mirrors. But it's like, it doesn't matter. It's not that big of a deal. It's a fun vampire mythology thing. So the girls end up attacking them and then feeding them to their vampire spawn, who they keep in the basement because, you know, they can't do anything else with them. Can't let them be running around, kind of gives things away. And it's just like, it. I think the reason this entertained me so much in the end is seeing, like, two who were, yes, they were luring the guys in themselves, but who were essentially intended rape victims. Seeing them get revenge on the attempted rapists is very satisfying to me. As someone who is extremely, like, grossed out and horrified by sexual assault, as someone who has been sexually assaulted, seeing rapists get their comeuppance, especially considering it is implied that they have done this before, it's super satisfying and entertaining to see. It's like that's something I can get behind. Like, I'm all for these vampire girlies. I'm on their side. And it's also implied that they only attack, like, these gross, terrible people. So it's like they're also doing kind of a service, you know? So that one I really enjoyed. It was probably the most fun one in terms of just the entertainment value. But our last main story, before we get into the framing device and all, was the sacrifice. And this one, when the reveal happened, which I feel like I should have gotten beforehand. I feel like I should have, like, put the connection there beforehand. I just didn't click in my head. But when that reveal happened, like, you may have noticed, I got a lot quieter. And, like, when it was revealed, when he said his name, I very quietly and softly said, "Oh." There's a reason for that. Like, I know who Emmett Till was, and I like they said, what happened to him, the lynching and everything, is basically said to have started the civil rights movement. It was a horrific incident that led to important changes in the world. And they make a point of talking about that throughout this through this story, through Emmett and the others talking about this, about their sacrifices and what they meant. Their sacrifices changed things for the better, for the future. And it doesn't make what happened to them any less tragic. It doesn't make what happened to them any less fucked up. It doesn't mean that they should have never had to, they should have never had to go through that shit, no matter what. But their sacrifices meant something in the end. It helped move and progress things forward. And through this entire thing, we're gone through this, like, double-sided story. We're seeing the lynching of Emmett Till, which, again, I did not realize what that was about at first. I was thinking that might have been the guy in the current day. Let me see here. Trying to find his name. Henry. I was thinking it might have been Henry in the past and everything, but it's like, the more I thought about it, the more that didn't make sense with how he was acting and everything. But it's like, I'm looking at this, like, I wasn't, like, even 100% sure if they were happening at the same time period or not. I kind of, once it showed Henry with the phone, I kind of thought most likely not, but I wasn't sure exactly what it was going for with having the two different storylines going on in the same story. But we saw in the one side the lynching and everything that happened with that. On the other story, the modern story, we saw Henry and his wife. They're expecting their baby. She's, like, having these nightmares and stuff, like, freaking out about what's going to happen to her baby. They've already had a miscarriage in the past, a year ago, I think it was. And so it's like trying to get the doctor to come over, figure out what's going on. Trying to handle everything with that. And meanwhile, his mother, Henry's mother, is coming over and she's trying to help too, but she's also admonishing her son because he's become a Republican. And I know there's a lot of people who, like, there's a lot of right wingers who would watch this and would be pissed because this is so aggressively anti Republican. It is so aggressively anti right wing. And I'm just going to say, good. Fuck the right. Fuck the American political right. And we'll get more into that with the framing device. The American political right are fucking evil. Like, the Democrats are not great people either, but they're insanely better than the Republicans. Republicans are just actively evil people who are actively trying to make things worse for anyone who's not a white man. They are racist, they are sexist, they're xenophobic, they're transphobic, they're homophobic. They're every kind of bigoted out there. And their policies and ideologies are hurting people who, again, anyone who's not a white male. A white straight male, specifically. Like a white cisgender straight male. Has to be all of that. Otherwise, you are a victim. You are being victimized. And this is very specifically calling him out as a black person who is Republican and who is voting actively against the interests of people of color. He's voting, and specifically the policy that's being brought up is, getting rid of voting centers in neighborhoods that are predominantly black and predominantly for people of color, making it harder or impossible for those people of color to be able to vote, which, affects how the results of the voting will go. It's a very, very transparent tactic to try and take away votes from your opponent. It's basically just, I'm going to make sure that people who would vote against me because I'm an absolute piece of shit, I'm going to make sure that they can't vote against me. I'm extremely racist, so I'm going to take away the votes of the colored people. That's what this kind of ideology is, just straight up. And the funny thing is, this came out in 2018. It's like we've seen this. This was after Trump had gotten elected the first time. We've literally seen this in action through the both Trump administrations. This is extremely relevant to things going on even today in 2025, which is fucked beyond measure. It is horrific that this is still an issue. And this is still the kind of shit that Trump and the Republicans are doing, actively taking part in. And it's horrific. And we see that through this, because of how far lost he's become, Henry can't see Emmett. The mother ends up being able to see him, though she isn't able at first. Emily is able to see him because she fully understands all of that. And this older guy that the grandmother brings in is able to see him. But Henry isn't until he starts going through all the shit. Because he's not able to talk to Emmett, things start changing. The timeline starts basically being warped. And the doctor, who he was on good terms with before, starts becoming aggressive towards him. Emily starts accusing him of raping her because she would never be with a black man. And you see the governor candidate ends up coming back, but this time he's part of the Klan Patrol, which is just like, Jesus fuck. And it's after all of this starts happening that he starts to finally get it and starts to be able to see Emmett, thanks to also some help from the others around him, his mother and the older man. and he's able to talk to Emmett, and he starts hearing these stories. Emmett and all these others, Dr. King and whatnot, even his own, Emmett's own mother, who had to deal with a lot after, after Emmett's death and all. And it's like he's starting to hear this out, and he's starting to understand, but then he's like, he's given the choice, and he still hesitates. He can't do it. He can't make a sacrifice like they did for to do the right thing. And things are about to get worse, and he starts to get taken away, but he finally chooses to stop it. He finally chooses to make the right decision. Not just, this simple stuff like denouncing himself from being a Republican, or not voting for for taking away the voting centers and all. Not just that stuff, but he chooses and agrees to make the ultimate sacrifice for the sake of his wife and baby and all of that. And he does. He makes the ultimate sacrifice. He sacrifices his life. The timeline reverts to the original one, but he stays dead. And his wife, his mother, the old man, they're able to see his spirit. And they understand exactly what he did and why he did it. And they're proud of him for finally turning things around and for finally seeing the truth. And obviously they're sad and fucked up over the fact that he died, but they're happy that he chose to do it for a good reason. To make that sacrifice for the sake of the future. It's a very, very heavy, very poignant story that is just extremely steeped in reality, because this real shit that happened. And it got me very fucking emotional. It got me like really like I was not okay, if I'm being honest. It's a very heavy topic that needs to be discussed, even as uncomfortable and harsh as it can be. And that's why I really like these movies, because they talk about this stuff. They address the things that are hard to address in the form of a medium of entertainment, a movie. They use this movie, a horror film, a horror anthology, to be able to address these issues and showcase it in a way that more people will be receptive to. And I think that's important, and that's a great way to do it, because it allows people to hear the message and to understand a lot easier. But we do have one more segment to discuss here, and that is the framing device Robo-Hell. So throughout the entire movie, we have Robo-Hell playing as this framing device. It's setting up all the stories, because we have this this tech guy, this billionaire asshole who runs this tech company, Dumas Beach, which is his name. Dumas Beach, dumbass bitch. I got the dumbass part right away. I did not catch on to the beach being bitch part until the end, which I really wish I had realized that right away too. But at least I got the dumbass part. I think that's really fucking funny, by the way. That was really funny. But he's creating this Robo Patriot. It's basically RoboCop. It's basically the idea of like a police robot that is meant to act as judge, jury, and executioner to detect and eliminate perceived threats to America. It is powered by high-tech AI that not only learns from first-hand experience, but second-hand experience. And so while they're getting it set up, he brings in Keith David's character, to tell stories, because he's heard this guy can tell good stories, and that can give like some, having the stories themed around certain things, especially criminals and all, will allow the robot to know what to track and look for. And so that's how the stories each happen, and through it we see like the little cut-ins of them interacting, and how Dumas is like reacting to each of the stories like a dumbass bitch Republican. Because yeah, he's a Republican. He's very much spouting the same Republican talking points you always hear. Um, Talking about how like they're sending in their criminals and rapists to America. He's basically just Trump. Let's be honest. I hope this movie doesn't give people like Trump any ideas, though. But he's he's going through all of this rhetoric as the movie goes along, and you see that even the people working with him are uncomfortable, but they refuse to stop working because, money. And the woman like claims like, "Oh, I believe in the idea of keeping America safe." But it's clear she doesn't quite believe in his way of doing things. Also, by the way, he is a sexual assaulter, as we see multiple times where he gropes every single woman in his vicinity. And even the main woman even says like, "Oh yeah, he does this to everyone." And it's like, yeah, fuck him. But it's setting all of this up, and at the end we see him finally unveil to the public the Robo Patriot, which like is able to look at the crowd and suss out some criminals that he brought over from the prison he owns and runs. Um, you have like some illegal immigrants and some class 2 felons who like, were like simple burglaries or whatnot. Like all of this is being done so he could fill his prison and everything, and bullshit like that. And it's working. All the plants there are fine. And then the Robo Patriot identifies one more, a real threat to America. And of course, it ends up being him. Because all the stories that Keith David's character told, and everything that the Robo Patriot witnessed Dumas doing, proved that Dumas is a racist, a sexist, xenophobic, just everything. Again, everything. He's a Republican. He's every kind of evil, bigoted, bullshit piece of crap out there. And so he tries to run away as the Robo Patriot goes after him, kills the main 2 assistants, and eventually chases down and kills him. Though he doesn't realize it at first. He gets into the SUV with Keith David, and that's when it reveals what I already knew, of course, because the entire "Welcome to Hell, motherfucker" thing, I've seen that so many times on like TikTok and whatnot, and just all over the internet. It's just used as a GIF whenever talking about Keith David. So it's like that. I mean, I knew that before watching the first one of these films. And it's like, it's such a good moment. It's so satisfying after watching the rest of this film. But it's also satisfying because Keith fucking David. He's just amazing. Like, one of the best out there, easily. Definitely one of my favorite actors, I would say. I would genuinely say that. I like him in, like, everything I've seen or heard him in terms of voice acting. Got to include that. He is a voice actor just as much as an on-screen actor. Can't wait for Has Been Hotel Season 2. Just saying. But yeah, loved his performance there. Loved the reveal. It's so good. It's so goddamn good. And yeah, this movie, like, overall felt a lot more like heavy with its messaging than the first one did. And the first one was obviously very notable with its messaging. It was the entire point. It was extremely poignant, extremely like big even today. This one was even more so. This one like very much like went even further into the messaging and theming, which again I think is important, and I think that movies like this need to exist. This was so good, and I'm speaking. I want to make clear, as a white person, I cannot speak to the experiences of Black people or people of color in general. No matter what race you are, whether you're Black, whether you're Asian, whether you're Hispanic, Pacific Islander, etc., etc. I can't speak to your experiences, and I will not try to. I can only speak to what you guys have said about your own experiences. And I can speak as someone who acts as an ally, but I cannot speak to your experiences directly. I will support you and I will be behind you in every step of the way, but I am white and I acknowledge that. I acknowledge the privilege that gives to me. That it shouldn't, but it does. I wish it didn't, and I wish that all human beings were actually treated equally. Especially in terms of America, Jesus. But unfortunately, we're not. And that needs to be acknowledged. That needs to be, like, so many more white people need to acknowledge and think on that and act on that and, like, understand that even if they've done nothing wrong personally, they still have a lot of privilege and a lot that people of color don't. Just because of the color of their skin. And we need to fight to change that, to make things right. As best as we can. It's not going to change overnight. It's not going to be easy, but we have to keep trying. I mean, to not do so is just fucked. Like, I genuinely don't understand how people can even be racist. It makes no sense to me because it's so actively fucked up and evil. And yet people are just casually racist. And it's just like, how are you like this? Genuinely. How? And I mean, I used to have issues. I've luckily, and I still have some issues, of course. But I've been able to work past a lot of issues that I had, a lot of bigotries that I was raised into and everything. I was able to, luckily, work my way out of, thanks to people around me who helped me understand the issues I had. And I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to be better. And I will continue to work on that as best as I can. But it's like, so many more people need to, like, take a look at themselves. Because there's people who are being racist without even realizing they're being racist. Because it's just how they were raised and what they think is normal. And they're not necessarily even trying to be racist, but they are. Whether they're trying or not. Just, people need to take a deeper look at themselves and at society and work to make things better for everyone. It's just... It's really something that makes me glad films and just media like this exist. Media that focuses on a message and tells it in such a powerful, uncomfortable way. Let's be honest. Like I said, it should be uncomfortable. It should make you feel icky. Because that means it's doing its job. And yeah, it's gonna be hard to watch, but that says something. Honestly, if you're uncomfortable by it, that says probably one of two things. Either you understand how fucked up this is, and you do empathize and sympathize in a way that means that you have the potential to be a better person and to work towards better things in the future for people of color, better chances, better opportunities, better situations. Or the second option is it makes you uncomfortable because you are one of those people that it's talking about, and that you need to change your ways because you're uncomfortable because it's calling you the fuck out. It's one of the two. But yeah, this was really good, and it wasn't like standard horror movie scary, but it was more scary socially and in terms of like theming and messaging and real life. It was more real life scary than standard horror fare scary. Though the glass in the throat thing did freak me out a bit, admittedly. But while not like standard horror film, still a fantastic one that again needed to be seen. We're definitely going to be reacting to the third one in the future, and I hope that more people see these movies because they have so much to say. But tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this film? What did you think of Tales from the Hood 2? And thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. For now, I just realized, I don't think I ever mentioned that this is a donation reward for Venom. I feel like I say it so often, it's kind of obvious, like most donation rewards are for Venom. But yeah, this was for Venom. Sorry for not mentioning you, Venom. Yeah, this was Venom's donation reward. Thank you for donating for this. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.